expectations in marriage can be good, but they can also be challenging. I know one thing for me, my father was not around at dinner time a lot as a child. And so I just knew when I got married, I was going to marry somebody that was home at 6 o'clock every night. We were going to have dinner as a family. And that was my dream as a little girl. And I soon quickly realized that that was not the case being married to my entrepreneur husband. And that is probably, honestly, the largest conflict in our marriage, like year over year over year. And just that expectation that he was going to be there. And then my constant disappointment, that he wasn't there at dinner time every night.
And I think the pressure of that expectation, knowing that I was building a business, that I had things that I had to take care of outside the home, but then also knowing that I wasn't meeting the expectations or I was letting my wife down, created just an enormous amount of pressure between the two of us because of the unmet expectations. I also think for me, one of the expectations I had with Chrissy was that I expected her to support me. I expected her to take care of me as I made decisions as the leader in our home. If she questioned those, like there was an expectation from me that there would just be an unequivocal support of those. And so if there was any place where I felt like I had lost that support or that expectation wasn't met, the disappointment that it would create in me was pretty significant.
Yeah, I think it would chip away at his confidence. And I have, can be very strong-willed, and I have lots of opinions. And so I know my husband so well now to know if I really challenge him on something that he is so passionate about and that he feels so strongly about, it can really chip away at his confidence, and he just kind of shuts down. And we've gotten so much better at communicating now that we can kind of see it coming or quickly, not be stuck in a place for a week. We might be stuck somewhere for an hour now because, we know each other more intimately than we did, when we first got married. But that was something that I've really had to learn about him too.
So if most of us are being honest with ourselves, there's something that we often believe, and it's this. Most of us don't really want to work on our marriages. We simply want our marriages to work.
That's very true.
It's
Yes.
true. We're all really kind of that way. The problem is that doesn't work. We have to begin to work on our marriages, to put some energy and effort into it. And so today, we're going to talk about something that all of us bring into marriage. We all bring in some hopes, dreams, and desires. And these are good things. These are often things that we bring in from our childhood, from our families. So for instance, if your family every year took a vacation up in the mountains and you had just magical time and you have great memories, when you get married and have kids and a family yourself, you're probably going to want to recreate that.
Yeah.
If you had a family that got together once a month and played board games and cooked out, you're probably going to want to recreate that. There's certain hopes, dreams, and desires that all of us have, and we bring these things into marriage. And they're not wrong. They're actually often quite good. The problem is, at some point in our marriage, we often take all these hopes, dreams, and desires, and we place them in our spouse's feet. Yeah. We kind of put them on our spouse, and the problem is at that moment, they now transform, and they transform into expectations. And so what is an expectation? An expectation is the strong belief that something will happen or will be the case in the future. It is now this expectation that something will absolutely happen. And so the issue with expectations is they often and quickly become very burdensome. They become a burden to our spouse. And now it's no longer something that's light and whimsical, but it's something that's heavy and burdensome. Yeah. And when we have those expectations, we tend to implement something that we call the 4 C's. And these 4 C's, they never work. We either try to convince, convict, control, or we tend to coerce. So we want something from our spouse. We expect it from our spouse. So we often try to convince them. We give very compelling arguments, all the reasons of why they need to do this thing for us. Or we even try to convict. And sadly, we'll sometimes even use the Bible for this. We try to convict them. Well, this is what a godly wife does. This is what a godly husband does. And we often try to convict, and it's never good. Or sometimes we simply try to control. We try to make things happen to force it because we expect it. And lastly, sometimes we'll coerce. We'll try to make deals. We'll try to manipulate. We'll try to, well, if you do this and this, and essentially in all these things, it's not healthy. And it's not healthy for this reason. Because the goal of the 4 C's, whether it's convincing, convicting, controlling, or coercing, all of them are searching for one thing, and that's for conformity. That's really at the end of the day, we're searching for conformity because I have an expectation and I expect you to meet it. And so expectations, really what they do, they create a debt and debtor relationship. It's you owe me. Because you're my spouse or because you stay home or because you work or whatever it might be, these expectations create this mindset. You owe me. And that never is healthy because with expectations, we rarely express gratitude for what we've come to expect. Because if I expect it, well, then that's what you were supposed to do. Ingratitude really is a lack of expectations. The less expectations we have, the more gratitude we have. The more expectations we have, the less gratitude we have. And so expectations erode gratitude and they increase the likelihood of hurt and disappointment. So let me share what some of my expectations were of Amy early on in our marriage. Now, also let me preface this, ladies. I admit these were wrong. I'm apologizing in advance.
No hate mail.
No hate mail to Trey, whatever. I promise you, I understand these are wrong, but they were my expectations. And it was this. I went and worked. I was starting my career and I would be gone, 8-10 hours a day. But I expected Amy to work at home as much or as long as I was. And so she was a stay-at-home mom with 3 young kids. So what I was expecting when I got home, the house should be picked up. The kids should be somewhat orderly. Dinner should at least be in process. Those were my expectations. And once again, ladies, I know it's wrong and I apologize now. But this was my expectation. And the problem is when those expectations weren't met, I was angry because I expected it. That was what I expected her to do.
Yeah. And for me, having those small children at home and having a house to take care of and being there all day by myself, the minute that Trey walked in the door, I expected all hands on deck. Like, I have been in this world all day long. Now I expect you to jump into this world. I need you right here. I need you picking up, I need you with the kids, entertaining them, picking up their toys. And so I had an expectation on you as well after you've had this long day that you were supposed to dive right into that when you got home.
And so hopefully what you can see, these expectations, they really do set us up for hurt and disappointment. And in even best case, if our spouse meets every one of our expectations, even if they could, and by the way, they never will.
It's an impossible task.
It's an impossible task. But even if they could meet every expectation, you may not feel disappointed, but you also won't necessarily feel loved because they begin to erode that appreciation. And at the end of the day, you may not be disappointed, but you won't feel loved. But if we don't meet those expectations, we then do feel hurt. We do feel disappointed. And we often feel unloved. And so expectations are deadly. Now, let me bring this to a biblical connection because marriage is a picture of our salvation with Christ, right? So what exactly did Jesus expect from us for our salvation? And the answer is absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So if our marriage truly is a picture of our salvation and Jesus expected nothing from us at that moment of salvation, then our marriage should look the same way. So our marriages, instead of being one of competition, should actually become one of submission. And Jesus tells us in John 13:34, he says, "A new commandment I give you, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. And you are to love one another." And so in a truly biblical marriage, you actually owe your spouse everything, and you deserve nothing in return.
So on the other side of this, what we also don't want you to think is that you can't dream or you can't have desires. So in practical terms, for me, I love HGTV. I
I hate it.
He knows his honeydew list is coming on. So I know that when I watch this and I see something, I'm like, this would be a really cool project I think we could do. And I'll tell Trey, like, hey, I saw this. But then he takes my dream or my desire and he now turns it into his expectation.
She thinks she married Chip Gaines.
What? That's not true. So what we don't want you to do is just let your spouse have dreams and desires. That's okay. So typically what I will do is if I see something and I bring it to Trey, I say, listen, I have no expectation on this. This isn't even the 5, the 10 year. This is just me talking about it, dreaming about it. And so I'm just wanting to share this with you, but I have no expectations that this has to get done.
So Amy starts sharing once again something she saw on HGTV, and in my mind, they're becoming expectations because I want to come through for her. I want to provide for her. But I start thinking, how much time? How much is it going to cost? I don't have the right tool. I need to buy this or that. And I can often rob her of the ability and the blessing to dream and have hopes and desires because I'm turning it into an expectation. And so begin to share with your spouse that, hey, this is just a hope or a dream. It's not an expectation. Begin to unwind those, begin to let them go and share them with each other. So how do we begin to really let go of all these expectations? Well, the first thing, we have to recognize them. We've got to be honest with ourselves and with our spouse about the expectations that we've placed on them, but also on the expectation and the pressure that we feel from them. So begin to talk about it. Open up. Be honest, open, and vulnerable with each other. But then give each other some grace and mercy. Give a lot of forgiveness. Lay these expectations down, and what I promise you, you will find a breath of fresh air in your marriage. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, God, we thank you that you expected nothing from us at the cross, that the gift of forgiveness was a free gift. And so we just want to love our spouse the way that you love us. And so help us to lay all of these expectations down at your feet and learn to love Jesus as you are love. And we pray all these things in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
So Chip Gaines here. No, just kidding. That's the, of course, Amy's expectation of me for years that I would fix anything around the house, do whatever.
You won't?
But exactly. But once again, all of us, we have certain hopes, dreams, and expectations that we bring into marriage. But once we begin to expect them, once we lay them at our spouse's feet and go, you now have to do it, all the weight and the pressure that comes onto us from those expectations. And the expectations become burdensome. They become areas of disappointment and hurt. But once again, even if all those expectations are met, we still often don't feel loved.
Yeah.
And so these expectations are dangerous. Coopers, how about you guys? What have expectations looked like in your life, in your marriage? What did you bring with you that were maybe good things, but you realize became expectations?
Yeah. So when I think about expectations, I feel like I put them kind of in two categories. Like I have a rational expectation, which is like how I expect to be treated, how I expect to be loved. Like I expect him to treat me kindly and with respect. And then I have like irrational ones. And mine stem from being having an obsessive compulsive disorder. And I have to have everything tidy all the time. And I put those expectations on Nick. And I unknowingly I didn't know that was an expectation. That's how I had lived my life. And I knew myself that that's how I was gonna live in my home. And Nick is quite opposite of that. And that has had it's been one of our biggest conflicts in marriage is how I expect the house to be and Nick not meeting those expectations.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it, even early on in our marriage, even if they were wrong, they weren't communicated. And so, yeah, there'd be a lot of, work, come home. And for me, it was almost like I needed a few minutes to like decompress from work or something like that. So, um, really just communicating what those were, but ultimately having zero expectations is like where we want to be, and that's very hard to do, right? So,
Well, because I feel like it arises in almost every situation in our life. Like the other day, so trash day, usually Nick leaves the house before I do, before the trash cans have to go to the curb. And I know you guys are all adults, so you know how big of a deal trash day can be. Like if you miss trash day, your marriage might as well be over. So, and the other day Nick had already left, and I went to the garage, and the trash cans were already to the curb. And I was not grateful for it because I had expected Nick to do that job. And I feel like whenever the gratitude is taken out of it, it's an expectation.
That's right.
And there's no, thank you, Nick, for taking the trash cans to the curb.
and then I think on the opposite end of that, like for me, and it's probably not right, but I see that it's an expectation, and so it's hard for me to want to do those because in the back of my head, I'm like, if I do it, she's not going to be grateful. If I don't do it, she's not going to be grateful or happy. So it's like it's almost like a lose-lose. Like if you place an
Yeah.
expectation on somebody, they're in a lose-lose situation.
And I think that's so true for both of you.
Yeah.
Okay, because it's lose-lose for you,
Mhm.
but also for you, like you said, there was no gratitude for something being done.
Yeah.
That actually robbed you as well
Mhm.
from the gratitude of him doing something for you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it truly is a lose-lose
Mhm.
all the way around.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not you guys.
Grateful is not just something that you express, it's something that you feel.
Yeah.
So it really is both sides of it. And you can rob yourself of a lot of joy by just expecting.
Mhm.
Expectations are a little different with me because it's not that I expect things to be done or stay. My expectations really, the most unhealthy ones, floated around me doing things and getting credit for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an acts of service guy. We'll talk about that later, maybe. And we talked about the cabinets. We talked about other stuff, right? If I do stuff and I don't feel like I'm appreciated, that's a problem for me. I expected to have Tiffany show a lot of gratitude for like whatever I did,
Mhm.
and when I didn't, I would feel let down.
Yeah.
And it was really dangerous in a lot of ways. And it's something I've really had to work through. And I don't feel like that at all anymore. And I think I've really done a good job of not expecting those things.
Mhm.
It's really nice to just appreciate the things that she does.
Yeah, I think the problems occur when we use expectations as the lens for which we interpret our emotional response.
That's good.
Expound on that a little bit. Like, what do you mean on that in a practical level?
So my emotional response, like if Nick didn't take out then you just go into your pain cycle.
Yes.
You're like, well, I don't feel seen. Like I told him to do it, and I'm not feeling heard,
Mhm.
and then it just starts all back over.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Tiffany, what about you?
Yeah, it's kind of changed over the time when we had kids versus now. Because when we had all 5 kids here and things were crazy, it's like there had to be a certain level of expectations and I was always kind of raised like these are the basic things you do as being part of a family, right? It's not extra above and beyond, like unloading the dishwasher, doing the laundry. These are just things that you do as part of a family. And so I grew up, those things are expectations just for survival. And, you don't thank each other for doing those things. They just need to be done.
Yeah.
And but then as the kids left and it's just us now, it's just we just don't expect each other to do things, right? Like if we walk by and something needs to be done, we do it. Now, there's a lot of things that I can't do that I expect John to do because I just can't do them. And that's where, timing and communication and all of that can be really important because if I have something in my mind of I want this done by this time and he doesn't align with that, we don't have that agreement, then that's where problems can come into play.
That's how we avoid it becoming an expectation a lot. You kind of alluded to it. We talk about it and we agree on it. We set priorities, and then they don't become expectations. It's just something we've agreed to, and there's a timeline that goes with it, but we've agreed on it. we don't have this silent expectation and a clock ticking in our head that says, hey, by this time, if this doesn't get done, I'm going to be really disappointed. Or if he does get it done, that's just what he was supposed to do, or it's just what she was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's you guys.
Well, I really relate to Emily. I love the home to be orderly and everything to be flowing. And I grew up in a home where everybody was helping out, doing chores, and my parents were leading well in the fact that we picked up the trash and we would do our own laundry. And so I really expected Heath, without communicating, that he would be doing those things as well. And so this has been a really contentious area in our marriage, because I was expecting all of these things. And it wasn't till recently, honestly, that the Lord showed me, and I really allowed the Holy Spirit to work in me to say that my peace is not in my home, and my peace is not found in an orderly home, but my peace is found in the person of Jesus. And so that really helped me to take those expectations off of him. And I was able to see that when he is doing those things, because he now is doing those things. The funniest thing, we were going through a book, and I had listed these 4 expectations that I had been placing on him. And I let those go like a couple of years ago when we did the retreat. And I read them to him, and I was like, you're doing all of these things. And I wasn't placing that expectation on him, but he's doing it. And I was like, just so grateful again, because I still hadn't communicated that, but you were just stepping up to what our family was prioritizing.
Yeah, that was just last night. We were going through books, and she was like, all of these expectations that I let go, I'm now doing, and which is really cool.
Yeah.
Felt good about that. I had all kinds of expectations. I had expectations on God. I had expectations on Hannah. I'm a romantic at heart, hence the proposal. And I really did expect that as soon as we say I do, all of this sexual dysfunction and all the stuff that I was going through, like God and Hannah, like it's all gone. And it's just awesome sex and happily ever after. And when that wasn't the case, and I got angry with God. Why am I still dealing with all these things? I've now committed to one person, and all the expectations I had on that. But I would say most of the expectations I had on you revolved around sex, frequency, how, type, whatever. And when a totally normal response as a spouse is, I don't feel good tonight, or I don't want to, I mean, that expectation just became so frustrating when it wasn't met. And then all the times that she would pursue me in love and have sex, maybe if she didn't feel good or didn't want to, I wasn't able to receive that as like a tremendous act of love, where she's just like, I love you and I want to do this for you. I wasn't grateful for it. And I was just like, this is the expectation. We have sex 7 days a week because we're young and we're married.
Well, we did an experiment last week. So John had his list of tasks that he needed to get done. And he had it on a piece of paper with a lot of space between them. And I came in and I was like, And so I just went in and wrote some things like, kiss my wife, kiss my wife, kiss my wife, kiss my wife, sexy time. And so I didn't even know if he would notice, but like that day I come home, nothing was prioritized. It's just a list of tasks that he likes to keep track of. And I walk by the dresser and he's like, got this like prioritized 1, 2, and he's come in and he's like runs over to kiss me, and it was just funny because it was like, okay, all of a sudden his desire to do those things. And then I think it was just, I don't know, you explain.
Well, I felt pursued.
Yeah.
It was a fun, flirty way to feel pursued. And to me, at that moment that she wrote that on that list, she was initiating intimacy.
Yeah.
And she was recognizing, that I would think it was fun, but I would also think this is a sure thing. I might have to work through the list a little bit, but when I get to this part of the list, and there's no risk here. This is
This is
gonna
on
be
the
great.
list.
But again, it's where they all can be combined together too,
Yeah.
right? Because he comes running over to kiss me, then he walks away, comes running back, and I was like, hey, you gotta have a little space between these kisses, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it also made me realize that we don't take enough time to just have those really sweet, soft kisses, and just take the time to do that. Like maybe you would when you're dating,
Yeah.
your first meet. And so,
Well, here's the problem with those soft kisses is then they expect something after it. And
well,
so sometimes
well,
I'm like,
but-
hey,
well,
honey. And he's like, oh, I know where this is
but
going.
it's a great way of communicating, right? Because I was like, no, these don't all just get lumped into one. Because I think that's maybe the
Yeah.
natural response for a
Yeah.
guy to go like, yeah, 3 kisses and say, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
Yeah.
This,
gotta work for it.
and so then it kind of almost became a fun little game, and it was like, wow, it just kind of really put a whole different spin on tasks.
I had a pen in hand. I came for the first kiss. I had my pen in hand so I could mark it off.
Yeah.
So I could then go do something else, come back to for this. Yeah.
And I was like, is that an expectation now?
But your point's great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. If you come up to Nick and you give him a slow, soft kiss,
Mhm.
and his expectation immediately becomes, "Ooh, she wants to have sex."
Mhm.
A kiss like that means sex.
Yeah.
Then he doesn't feel grateful for it,
Mhm.
and you don't want to do it.
And that's a big problem in our relationship is the physical touch.
Mhm.
He needs it, but I don't want to give it because I feel like every single time I do it, it turns into that expectation of.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
sex.
Yeah, and I think like as I'm listening to everyone talk, like lists have kind of been a pain point for me, because I automatically feel like they're expectations. But I think as a sinful human, it is hard for us to have zero expectations because we're selfish, right? And so our selfish nature is going to say they should do that for me, or they should do, if they love me, then they would do this for me. And it's really hard for any task not to be an expectation. I mean, thinking through that, like how is something, if you legitimately would like something done, how do you not have an expectation about it?
I think the first thing is you have to choose,
Yeah.
because you're right. Through our selfish nature, it is
Mhm.
very, very easy to allow that to happen,
Yeah.
but we choose not to.
Mhm.
And frankly, also choosing on the other side, because the expectation can be if I give him physical touch, he'll expect it.
Mhm.
So my expectation already precluded that.
Mhm.
And we can fall into this trap,
Yeah.
and that it goes all the way around. And so that's where we talk about in the teaching session in that this is how Jesus, what did he expect from us for our salvation at that moment of the cross? What did he expect from us? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And I go back to what does it do when we have expectations? It hurts us
Mhm.
because it erodes that gratitude. And then our spouse begins to pull away, but then we start to pull away as well.
Mhm.
And so those expectations hurt us all the way around. There's nothing good and healthy about them.
Yeah, like one time, I mean, I feel like a lot of my expectations have to fall around with the household duties. And one time, Nick and I had a conversation that I was like, well, I like the bed. Can you just make the bed because it's important to me?
Mhm.
And whenever it didn't get done, I didn't feel important.
Mhm.
So it's very tough.
Yeah, and like it's hard because it's almost like its own cycle in itself because we've kind of talked. Let's take this simple task of making the bed. So I do it for a week straight because I know it makes her happy, and I'm doing it out of a good heart. Like I want to wake up, and then this is probably where it's wrong, but I don't sense gratitude about it. So I'm like, why am I doing this? And I know in my heart I should do it just because it makes her happy or it's something that she likes. But my sinful nature, or maybe I just missed the time on accident and then I hear about it or something like that. So then, it's kind of one of those deals where
Or I don't do it once, and then you're like, well, you didn't make the bed.
yeah. And so to me, the more gratitude and the more selflessness you show, the easier it is for both couples to come together to serve each other without an expectation of what they're going to get in return.
This is Ephesians 5:21 to a T.
Mhm.
By submitting one to another
Yes.
out of reverence for Christ.
Yep.
Instead of saying, I have a need, and so you owe me. That is one of the things that these expectations do.
Mhm.
They create that debt-debtor relationship. You're my spouse, you owe me.
Mhm.
You're whatever, you owe me. You're the kid's mom or dad, you owe me.
Yeah.
And we don't mean to, we don't realize, but that's
Mhm.
what expectations do. And God is saying, can you let that go?
Yeah.
Can we submit and surrender those needs to love and serve each other? And once again, all that does is benefit us because now everything that our spouse does do,
Mhm.
we see it and there is appreciation for. Because if Heath would have done everything that you had written on that list, you expecting it,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have appreciated it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now looking at it, and it's like the appreciation, and really, what does that appreciation ultimately do? It makes you feel loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what it boils down to. It
Yeah.
makes you feel loved.
Does.
The
Mhm.
expectations, and especially when they're not met, they make us feel unloved.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's really what it
Mhm.
boils down to. And so it hurts us.
Yeah.
We're angry with our spouse, but we're actually killing ourselves.
Yeah.
We're robbing ourselves of the joy of love.
Mm.
And with the expectation, now that you said the debtor relationship, like I think that was one thing I felt like I had to do these things to gain her love. And then I felt like, well, I'm never gonna meet every one of those expectations. Like I'm always gonna let something slip through the crack or something, I'm gonna forget to do this, or so I'm never gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
And so I can't do enough to gain her love. And that's how a lot of people think about God, is that we have to
Mhm.
do all these things to gain his approval and his love whenever he just gives it freely. And he forgives us daily when and we don't have to do anything to gain his love. He is giving it freely.
Yeah.
Our hearts were made for unconditional
Yeah.
love,
Yep.
which means if we ever have a condition on love, if we feel like we have to look a certain way, act a certain way, talk a certain way, make a certain income, provide a
Mhm.
certain, whatever it is, if we feel like we have to earn love in any way, shape, or form, it always makes us feel unloved.
Yep.
Yep.
I really think this is an area where we've actually, we're the old guys here. We've gotten pretty good at it.
Hmm.
And I think if you do it right, it almost becomes a competition to who can serve the other
Yeah.
the most,
Yeah.
right? In a fun way, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
it's not like we're trying to win,
Yeah.
but when we were both working and we had kids and stuff, I did most of the laundry, not all of it, but she would jump in and do laundry if she saw an opportunity.
Mhm.
Well, now that's kind of switched and she'll do most of the laundry. But if I come home and there's some laundry to do, it's almost like, hey, I can get some laundry done that she didn't get a chance to get to.
Yeah.
And it's just a tiny little way to serve.
Mhm.
And she'll do the same for me. Like I'll come home. I never expect to have dinner,
Mhm.
which I could because she's really good at it. And she makes dinner most of the time, but I never really expect it.
Mhm.
And so it's like every time she makes dinner, I'm a little surprised
Mhm.
and a lot grateful.
Yeah.
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 And not because it shocks me that she makes dinner, because in the back of my mind, I know she's probably gonna.
Yeah.
But because I really don't let myself expect
Mhm.
that she's gonna make dinner,
Mm.
it's a fun surprise, and
Mhm.
it's I see it as a gift every time she does it.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of little things like that where we're always kind of trying to jump in and do things for each other.
Mhm.
And it makes life really, really pleasant because I feel gratitude,
Yeah.
and then she gets to receive the gratitude from me, and vice versa. It's pretty cool.
And it's funny how little household chores, we've all talked about that, right? How they're so small, but like they are so powerful and influential on things.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But John's right, because sometimes I'll get up in the morning and I'll walk over to go unload the dishwasher and I'll be like, oh, it's already unloaded and put up, and he'll just get up a little extra early and do that just for me. And those are ways of showing love, and I'm appreciative for it. So
So good. So share with your spouse, what hopes, dreams, and desires did you bring with you into marriage that unknowingly, but regardless, you've maybe turned into an expectation that you've laid at your spouse's feet and kind of now expect it from them? Be honest about it, be open about it, share with your spouse, share what expectations you put on them, and then be vulnerable. Where do you feel the pressure of their expectations? And let's share this with each other so that we can begin to break them, let go of them, and find some freedom.
Mm.
And truly, at the end of the day, find love.